Hi, I'm Margaret at Meal Guide. Today I'm going to cover picking up kids, carrying kids, mostly, kids under the age of 4. I have borrowed a couple of kids for this. And, one of the reasons for doing this blog, I get email requests and questions on how to lift most safely. And I do unfortunately get clients that in putting kids down or lifting incorrectly, they have fractured their vertebrae. So most people, when diagnosed with osteoporosis, are not at a stage of life where things are ending, but rather life with grandkids is just beginning. And so I hope this blog helps you to move safely and stay safe. When transitioning kids from a chair and they want to be carried, then what you could do is ask them to help along as you prepare to piggyback them down on your pelvis once they have good hold and you are prepared with a nice wide squat position using your legs to come up. That's a nice way to take the weight off of your back. And in returning in the same way, I'm going to actually take advantage of his longer legs at his age, have him slide right down onto the chair directly. You might have to squat, obviously, with a younger toddler. Now we're going to scooch over to the kitchen and look at hand washing. Now at this age, this child is able to reach on his tippy toes to get the water. And so although I help him with getting the water on, I'm like, well, he can't actually reach the tap itself. So I'm going to use the cupboard to put one foot in because I want to transfer. I don't want to actually lift him and hold him through the rinsing of his hands. What I want to do is have his weight be taken on my thighs. So I'm going to ask him to step up so he's a little higher and then take him onto my thigh. So he's totally supported on my thigh and my back isn't doing any of the work. So you could stay like this for quite a long time. It's a very comfortable position to be in. I'm going to just allow him to spend as much time. This would be a good place even if you did cooking and the bowl was in the sink even. Now, as I transfer him back down, I could have just asked him to slide his foot back down onto the inside cupboard. Let's have a look at how we get his younger sibling into a little floor bassinet. I don't know what to call these things. We're just going to slide down. I've taken my foot and brought it as close to the chair as possible. And I'm going to do the exact same thing as I lift her out, in that I'm wanting to get my body as close as possible, bringing her weight onto my thigh, again, taking the weight off of my back. Bringing her from standing down to the floor, which is not my favorite thing to do. So, if you bend directly, it's a lot of stress on the back, so I'm going to slide her down. She's just about a year old, so she's got good postural control, and that way I'm not having to lower her all the way down to the floor. So the last demo that you saw with my live model, she didn't actually want to lay down. I had the blanket, I bundled it up, but you wouldn't need to use the blanket, obviously. I was hoping we were going to have a different strategy, but since that didn't work out and we went over her contract time, I decided to just use like some rice and prunes and things to demo a soft sleeping baby. That hopefully if you're lifting a child up from the floor, that they are on some sort of blanket so that you can make use of the blanket and almost create a little hammock effect. And that way you don't have to get as low and get underneath them, but you do want to ensure that you have a really good grip of the child. And so, when you have a child and maybe a parent on each side and you create a little hammock and you swing them, you're going to create this sort of hammock with a tail at both ends where they can obviously still breathe in the middle. And I'd have them come in nice and close, or you would come in nice and close to them, I should say. And this is the ankle stretch that I talk about in the book. You would come in as close as possible, hinge from your hips back or is flat, elbows by your side. Take a breath in, exhale as you slide the baby up onto your lap. And from here, you can then cradle them back a little higher into your arms. Now, we're still needing some strength at this point to come up into kneeling. From this kneeling position, if your knees are good enough to actually kneel or crawl forward on your knees, that's a really great strategy. And then you can always deposit the child on a chair or some other surface, again, as close as you can. And then get yourself up, come down into a squat, come back and take them and lift from that position. So as much as possible using all the strongest elements that you have in your body. And if we're going to go do that in reverse, obviously, you could, maybe even go, I don't want to squat quite so low. I'll put them down on a pillow or a cushion. So it's a little bit closer down to this position. And then bringing them to a lower height. And I really, discourage you from bringing kids all the way to the floor unless you know that you have the flexibility in your hips and your knees, and you're really familiar with the hinging from your hips and to avoid the rounding of your back, because these last final moments of bringing a child down and that weight being away from your body is incredibly loading. And I've had, too many clients suffer from compressed vertebrae in doing that transition, whether they're babysitting for a day or somebody gave them a baby and left, and it's, they're getting tired, so they're wanting to put the baby down. So just please take care when babysitting, when, enjoying your grandchildren or other people's children. And thank you for tuning in. Familiar Guide.